Hargreaves, chance for Torquay! Chris Hargreaves, the captain! If he stays onside, Carlisle checks instead. He's looking for Benyon. Sells!
Hello and welcome to the latest episode of a Gull'S View. It's just me and Dom this week. Dom, hello.
Cozy, isn't it?
Yeah.
just you and me.
So we didn't know if we were going to do an episode of this week, but as we won, I mean, we're definitely going to do one now. Dom was at the game, I wasn't. Dom will do a bit of a match report. But as we were just saying, we've got loads of positives to bring this week, and there's less to talk about when it's all in like the on the pitch. The stuff is a lot better. Obviously, the off the pitch stuff is still there, and let's not forget that. And yes, it was the FA Trophy, and yes, Yeovil made 7 changes, but that was still a very good Yeovil team. They will still be probably the best team in the National League South, which is a credit to their recruitment. But a lot of positives going forward. So, Don, describe the match.
I think the biggest thing is the early goal, isn't it? We've been going on about it for weeks. We don't score early, but we started really well. We're on the front foot.
Yeah,
it obviously had a good talking to. I think Gary Johnson mentioned it, didn't he? He thought they owed him one for the week before, and we started really well. And it was a lovely move for the goal, wasn't it? I think you saw it in the highlights. Callum Dolan just made a bit of space in midfield, and he had actually acres of space on the right wing. Dylan De Silva, he couldn't believe his luck, to be honest. And
no,
he approached the penalty area, and you do wonder what's going to happen because he's not a natural finisher. You're never quite sure what he's going to do.
That's been a lot of his criticism from us and fans the last few months. Like he started as this very promising player when he first signed. He hasn't really matured with that end product. Maybe that injury and that time away, maybe it's getting a bit of a fresh sort of here. Because I feel like Dylan De Silva, he's got a lot of raw ability. He just needs to read the game a lot better.
He just needs to make the best of it. I mean, Chris will always see end product, won't he, of wingers. And, he cut in on his left foot and he just placed it. He didn't need to hit it hard. Placed it in the corner. I mean, the amount of room he had to nobody got anywhere near him until the penalty area, and he finished lovely. And we all just jumped up in more surprise than anything else. I think we're all a bit pessimistic about our chances before the game started, and you're always wondering what's going to happen. But that was a great start, and we just played well. There was a lot of industry. It was built on hard work, a lot of it. I mean, we played
classic Gary Johnson performance, wasn't it?
We played better as a team. Passing was better, but it was built on hard work. There was a lot of good, honest endeavour. People were backing each other up. If you don't get it, I will. There was plenty of tackles flying in. We were putting pressure on the defenders because Yeovil had changed their entire defence, and you could tell because they looked a bit nervy. And we put pressure on them, and we just controlled the first half territorially. They couldn't really get out that much. We generally were on top. They'd have the occasional attack through the midfield, but we controlled it, and it was just an enjoyable watch. And I was umming and ahhing about going a little bit last week. I was glad I went because it's the sort of performance I've been waiting for.
I think that's the key thing, really, isn't it? It's as my dad said, actually, none of us went, but it just gives you something to go back to. I think there's just that pace and in industry, as you said, in the team. Don't have to be the best team in the world, but if you've just got the basics there and you're giving yourself a good chance, especially at this level, that's where it hasn't been. We haven't done the basics well enough. And at the end of the day, I can sit here and I can say all what we have, and my thoughts on the position, but give Gary Johnson some good players. Eventually, I know they've come through his son and Dolan and that, and it will be a better team. Better players do better. It's not rocket science, is it?
It's getting a good balance in the team as
characters. We haven't had a balanced team, and that's Gary Johnson's fault for the last 2 years, really, a lot of the time, apart from the end of last season. I mean, as soon as we signed that Callum Dolan, obviously we were all Fleetwood, but just a bit of a character. That's what we needed. Just a bit of a character, and then Phillips coming as a non-contract. Those all characters just in the squad, let alone the first team, really helps. And I just want to see a bit of football, not this. I keep saying long ball football. It's just hope ball. It's not long ball. Long ball can be really effective. We weren't even doing that. Just seeing a bit of passing and a bit of hard work. And
there were some long balls at times, but they were well placed long balls into the channels, and Williams and Ash would chase them, and we'd end up gathering the ball. And yeah, we did. They
That's what I'm
were
saying. It's the right ball,
just
isn't it?
lumping it up.
Percentage football's good. It's
Yeah.
when it's in the right place. When it's
Yeah.
right up,
If
when you're
it's
going for the second
concentrate.
ball. If you're going for the second ball, it can work. But
Yeah.
when no one was going for a second ball and it was just easy,
Yeah.
then
I do wonder if not having Jarvis there makes us play it on the ground more. I'm not saying
which a
we're
few
a better
people have
team
said,
without him.
haven't they? Because the thing that frustrates me, Jarvis isn't actually the best in the air. He's brilliant with his feet. He's good at heading crosses in, but it's with his feet he's really good and running. So it makes no sense why we play that football. Even when we had
And they also rely on him a bit, don't they? He's a vocal point for them. They want to play it to him as soon as they can, whereas you're better off actually playing it shorter and a little bit of patience. But Dolan's a lovely player to watch because he got a bit of swagger about him, doesn't he? He had a couple of tricks, and he's the sort of player the crowd are going to like because he's direct. He wants to have a shot, don't get things forward. So.
All for it.
Yeah, it was a really good first half. I mean, Yeovil had their moments. They played some nice football around the midfield. They found a few gaps. The big thing for this, they didn't have Newblay and Murphy up front to aim for. So once they got into the final third, it generally petered out. So that was
I mean
that was a big difference.
I mean, even at Maguire drew, as Sheridan, our Yeovil guest, thankfully pointed out to me on Twitter. But it also made a difference there, disrupting that routine, and also we've got Frome.
It made us more comfortable. We could push up a bit more. We were a bit more cozy.
But it's still just a really good. I think sometimes I'm a little bit with these sort of FA Trophy games, but that was an example, and actually it's quite useful. That's really just giving like the club a bit of momentum on the pitch again. And that's all a football club needs. Really, wins really do help gloss over things at times, and there's how not just winning it was just the performance that came with it and the hard work from what I've seen and heard is really important. And
all the players put a good shift in, which was important. Even we've given Ryan Hansson an awful lot of stick, but he was putting himself about a bit. McGavin didn't actually make that many important passes, but he made some great tackles, and his coverage was good. Yeah, which was good to see from him because you do worry about his defensive.
You just feel like again, it's like when we had Dawson in the team last season. Everything just comes a little bit more balanced. I noticed Lewis Collins didn't start, and he, as we've said, highlights on here, he's really out of shape, out of form even recently. We know he's a very good player, and just giving that an opportunity for him to be on the bench, and we've got De Silva back for a game, that can help things definitely.
Yeah, it'd be interesting what happens with De Silva because he was very good. I mean, first half he just had the beating of the winger and they had to double up on him, which of course gives you space elsewhere because you can just
that's a good thing about having pace. So
I mean, he was doing good things with it. He'd trick the guy a few times. The fullback was having all sorts of troubles, and it made a difference. I do like Dylan. He's got a lot of stick from last season, but he gives you something different. He's fast.
People say like those sort of players that go off the bench, but it's a Silver sort of player that's much better when he starts.
Yeah,
when he comes off the bench, he doesn't actually impact it like you think. His sort of plays better as a sub, but it's actually he just doesn't seem to ever be into the game and catch on the pace.
It takes him a little time to get going.
But when he starts, he's actually a lot better. I find with De Silva, it's really weird like that. But
into the second half. I mean, Callum Dolan's goal was a class goal. It was just he will hit the ball if he sees the whites of the post 20-25 yards out. He's going to bang it
all the time, but
the technique was great. Head over the ball, bottom corner, bang, no problem. Yeah, and he enjoyed that. But I've been looking forward to seeing him because he had that first game, didn't he? Was it against Hampton? And he's typically in Torquay form. He got an injury after that, and
of course he did.
He's come back in, so we hope to see a lot more from him.
Yeah, no, definitely. But that's really good and really promising. And we might even have we might have Chris jumping in out of nowhere. He's telling me he was a bit late from something to do with work. We might be jumping to give his insight. I heard about the ref, and you can know it's been bad when you've won a game of football and then the ref's getting talked about a lot. But what happened there?
He was just a bit odd at times. Yeah, he made some strange decisions. I think Theo Williams went past about two players, got nudged off the ball, and he gave a free kick to them. I don't know what that was for. And there was, just some odd moments. You don't mind so much when you win it, do you? But he was just making some odd decisions unnecessarily. He just, just you didn't expect it. There wasn't a lot of decisions to make, to be honest, in the game. So it, and then of course it got a bit nervy at the end.
Of course it will, yeah. How was Reece Lovett?
I didn't think he was great, to be honest. His kicking was a bit poor. He almost got lobbed from the halfway line.
Right.
The guy missed the post by about a yard. That's after he'd shanked it straight to him. I thought it was a rather typical reserve goalkeeper comes in sort of performance. Made a couple of decent saves.
I suppose the club started a bit financially, because I feel like this Philip could be a really good asset for the club potentially. Because at the end of the day, if it's a young keeper who's, comes in number 2, and then Halstead's, he's in his 30s now. Keepers, he's got a few more years in him, of course.
Yeah.
But I feel like that could be quite an opportunity. But obviously, we're paying for 2 full-time goalkeepers already, so it does make sense to pay Reece Lovett what we can. This Halstead injury must be worse than we feared. I mean, we have no.
I thought he'd only be 2 weeks. I should be back on Saturday. And Chris is here to discuss. I've given a good mention to Ryan Hansson to you.
That was good. It's actually one of the first games you come away from it thinking, crikey, that was enjoyable. Because there weren't too many of those, have there? But
I said to Sam, I was thinking about whether I was going to come last week. I was glad I did it, because it was a performance worth the entrance money, wasn't it? So
it was good. Yeah. But again, we've talked about the early goal, wasn't it? Good start. Yeah. Got in front early on. Scored a good goal as well. When you watch it back, it's a really good football goal, isn't it? It's a lovely little drop of the shoulder and turn from Dolan in midfield. They got a bit pulled across, didn't they? But certainly De Silva did well. But that early start makes all the difference, doesn't it?
Yeah. We played good football as well, didn't we? In the right areas. I just think it was a lot of hard work as well. I think they were backing each other up. That's what me and Doug were saying before we come across.
Played as a unit. That Carol Johnson DNA coming through a bit for the first time in a while.
And it was strange, really, because when you looked at the selection, you thought, are we throwing it a bit? Are we? Because they'd made 7 changes, but I don't think anybody would have seen Crowe starting, and again Hansson starting.
How was Dylan Crowe?
Very good, I have to say.
I'm surprised he hasn't played, because I do feel he could. I know he's been so poor nationally, but I do feel he could really do a good job at this level.
He had to keep cutting in, didn't he?
Was it a 3-5-2?
Yeah.
No,
played on the left of a forward, didn't he?
So I think he could really suit this division. I just think while you're paying them, we've done it with Marshall, we're having to play Hansson and all that. McGavin's come pretty all right out of all of them. Surely, especially when you're seeing Dolan, who I think is more of a centre back, being done for pace every time he gets put right back a lot of the time. Just think
he needs to convince me. I mean, he did have a good game, but I don't think he had lots of defensive work to do, Chris, to be honest.
No, there's still that thing.
He would need to convince me, but he looked good going forward. He made some good crosses.
He's more of a winger. I've always said this. If you're going to put him somewhere, play him on the wing.
He was keen to get forward, wasn't he? Second half, he was bombing up, wasn't he, Chris?
What I thought was interesting was when I looked at that selection of players, I wouldn't have picked that back four, because logic would have had him at right back, Dolan at centre back, and Moxy at left back. But then obviously they didn't want Moxy out there we did get a bit exposed, didn't we, in that league game? And it just made a big difference, didn't he? I mean, he could be more offensive, which made a big difference. But he could. But there was just a bit of quality in what he did, wasn't there? A couple of times, he put a couple of good crosses in. He picked up, kind of fizzed a couple of balls into midfield. And kind of Dolan was sort of playing off the left, but it was more like a 4-1-3-2, wasn't it? So that those three across the midfield were kind of stretching and compacting depending on kind of when we were attacking and defending. But yeah, I mean, I was extremely as a member of the Wade family, finally wrote something articulate on the site this weekend when my son did the report. But as he put in there, he was just everywhere, wasn't he? Dolan was just a bit of quality. He was just everywhere.
Yeah, it was a nice goal, wasn't it? Took a little trick, didn't he? And then head over the ball.
Better than I appreciated, actually, at the time. It was a real kind of a shift of feet, wasn't it? And at the time, it kind of surprised me when it went in, because I thought, keeper saving that? But when you watch it back, it's right in the corner.
He's levels above this division.
I think the only thing with him is he's got to work on his basics, isn't he? Because he wants to do the fancy stuff. He's a bit of a Stevie G type character. He wants to be scoring the 30-yarders, hitting the 40-yard passes. So if he gets his basics well, chooses the right decisions, then he can
love
be a
those
proper
sort of
footballer.
players.
If we can work on him,
those sort of players.
Yeah, there's a lot to work.
They
on
frustrate you at times, but they're the sort of players I want.
He tried an outside the right foot pass through the middle second half, where there's no right to try it, and completely ballsed it up. But the crowd were behind him. You know?
My sort of player. I love how on his achievements he put goal, assist, yellow card, or whatever he put on his tweet.
I'm sure my children could tell me, but that kind of trick he did several times. Where you kind of step on the ball and spin round, and kind of take it away from the player that you've got. I mean, he's just got that little bit of flair. And again, if we keep him fit, I think we've got to the end of the year. I think we thought, didn't we? I mean, if we can keep him fit, he's just got that. Him and Williams just got they linked up well to a couple 2 or 3 times, didn't they? And they just look like they got that little bit of quality.
Like Williams, he's a good player. Yes, he's getting involved more.
I think somebody on our chat said he's got a good awareness, and he just knows what position to take up.
Yeah, like that goal the week. Christ, I haven't. Yeah, it's just, that's just nowhere to be.
If we put a cross into the box, he would attack it, wouldn't he? There was one moment where we put a near post cross. He was in the right position. He gets in the right areas.
Yeah, and that's
obviously he's had a good grounding.
So. Yeah, and that's so crucial.
Yeah. I think as well, he's got a little bit of pace as he once he gets going. He was arguably a bit unfortunate not to get a penalty in the second half when he kind of, there's some very odd decisions.
It was just outside, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's hard. It was a kind of shoulder to shoulder type thing, but they're the types of fouls they give these days, aren't they? And the bloke got nowhere near winning the ball, did he? But yeah, I mean, he looks like a. What was interesting was there were several of them absolutely out on their feet, weren't there? On Saturday, which I don't think you see all the time. Williams, Dolan. Okay, they've not played 90 for quite a while. Like Dolan said after the game, but it was a real shift. It was a real shift.
The only thing I said at the end.
As I said, it's maybe it's good Johnson performance.
Maybe it's good the Taunton game's off because there were a few tire legs.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm gutted it's off though, from our point of view. That's a real gutter. I was looking forward to that one.
Yeah, and I think again, it's another example of. Again, partly because you can't plan for bad weather. Of course you can't. But it seems odd that you would know the rules, know the regulations in terms of what would happen if games are postponed in the cup, but yet plan a week of a midweek round of league games. So, and then 4 days notice, particularly a game like that would attract a decent crowd.
Because we've had quite a few weeks without Tuesday games at all, haven't we? So you think they could work that around, wouldn't you?
Yeah, because what we would have had, we've got the next 2 after this, haven't we? With Eastbourne and then Weymouth at home, and then presumably that's going to have to go into December somewhere now. So yeah, it'll make December even busier, I guess. But
frustrating. Yeah, it's just how it goes, though, isn't it? Anything else we will talk about?
Who else played well? Moxy and Tomlinson were good at the back. I think I like Moxy as a centre back now. I think it's probably the time for him to move back into that area.
Yeah, I mean, it should have been last season, really.
But I think, in fairness, it's been through necessity as much as anything else. Because Martin's never really been fit.
Martin hasn't been fit for a couple of years, sadly.
It has, but I'd rather have him in there than Marshall, wouldn't you? So if you're going to take your choices.
Oh yeah. And I liked Archie Harris when he came on as well. I thought he was pretty combative. He put his foot in. I take it back. It was Asa Hall own goal. It wasn't him, was it?
It was Asa, was it?
Well, it kind of comes over the back, and I think he looks like it's going to. Because he's running around the back, and I think someone gets a flick off somebody. It just kind of hits him and kind of hits him in the head and kind of bounces across Lovett's right hand side. But yeah, again, only was it 20, 25 minutes, but he looked like he's got a bit about. He looked a bit stronger and a bit more physical than some Loney. So yeah, hopefully he'll be useful over the next few weeks too.
Yeah, and then the 6 minutes of pin your ears back, hope for the best. Wasn't it? After that, we gave them the ball a few times, didn't we? Ash decided to dribble out from his own 30 yards out, just kick the ball away. It's got to that point.
Yeah.
Didn't it? And then, of
there
course,
was only really that one chance.
Newblay almost scored.
Yeah. Luckily, from where I was, as soon as he hit it, I thought, well, no one's going to quite reach that because there was Cox just kind of sliding in the back post, wasn't he? But, I was kind of like, oh, when he hit it. But yeah, luckily it was just about overhit, wasn't it? But it'd have been if we'd have ended up on penalties, that'd have been harsh, really, because I thought we deserved across the game, we deserved to win the game. I thought.
Yeah, that's good. And it is a competition that. The league's still a priority, but where we're going, it looks like Yeovil's going to be the league title. Just have a go with it, I'd say, really.
It's how we can balance this team going forward, isn't it? Can we keep these sort of players in the team? Are they going to go back from loans? It's still a lot of yeah, not quite sure at the moment. But because we had this last season, we got a little bit better for a few games. You think, can we keep this sort of team going? And
and the loans ended, and we're back to square one again.
yeah,
Like,
I mean,
again,
a
but
lot of positives.
You think how impressive we were at times, and also with the players that are missing. You think, if Crow can kind of step on and be, that good regularly. Hansson had to limp off, which was a shame because he was doing all right. He landed heavily on his hip in the first half, then he kind of gave it 5 minutes and then limped off. So but look at him. You look at obviously these young guys. We've got 3 pretty useful looking loan players now in Williams, Dolan, and Harris. So can De Silva stay fit, because he bugs the bejeebies out of me at times. In that but as we said during the weekend, just that bit of pace pins people back, doesn't it? Pushes fullbacks back, and and again, really good finish with goals, some pretty average crosses at the same time during the game. But it's just that bit of quality and pace makes a lot of difference in those areas.
The speed of movement, isn't it? If you've got Williams and De Silva in there, the other team's going, right, I have to weight back a bit now, because I don't want to give them a yard of space because they can get past us. Just changes things up a bit, doesn't it? We've been a bit of a grind inside already this season, bit one pace like we were previously.
Balance, all about balance.
Changes things up, makes us a lot more difficult to play against. So
the key now is just right, the title's gone. Basically the MSJ will sort of fall apart. The original aim of the season is not there. Now it's about just phase 2. We need to build and get better as the season goes on. Get to the playoff, aim for 2nd or 3rd place. And
I think it's still too early to say that everything's all up for the whole league.
It takes the pressure off us then.
I'm not saying we're winning the league, but
no.
I think
I agree. We can still win it if we.
How many minutes are we in? Games in 17,
17, something like that.
Yeah, that's
a
lot of games still to go.
There's a lot of games to go, and if we can improve as the season go on and hit our peak, that's the aim now of the game, really. And if we hit the season momentum, then we can still have success this season, and that's what. And the success is promotion. Don't care.
But we really need to go. We really need to go into this run of games and really get some. If we can get on a run. I mean, Saturday's tough, but if we can go on a run of 3, 4, 5 wins, that's like 2 wins in a row now. Get a good result the weekend, then we've got some very winnable games after that, haven't we? So get on a good run, get up the league, and.
Well, we're playing. What are we playing? Dartford are 12th. I think Eastbourne are 18th. Then we got Tunbridge Angels 10th.
Weymouth.
Teams below us, so we should be beating them. But our away form, I know we did beat Havant, but they're not easy. These games, are they? And these young players have still got to learn to be able to go to these places, buckle down, and get the results. So it
needs to consistently pick up, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You're right. I agree.
Still need to convince us, don't they? But
it's a long way still to go. That side of things. But it's better. As me and Don were saying, you can't say much. We're not going to do a part 2 anyway because we don't have time, and let's talk about it not being a league game. But it's less to talk about when you win. But overall, I'm happy, positive. Anything else to add before we go into Dartford away at the weekend?
We talked about the draw.
Yeah, throw them away.
Yeah. Again, that's an interesting draw, isn't it? The sort of game that I think it'll certainly interest a lot of supporters, won't it? In terms of it's not a game we've been to before. It's ground we've been to before. It's certainly an interesting, interesting game. Yeah, they will, and we saw in the Wimbledon game they had a little bit about them. We was a comfortable win ultimately, but it'll be interesting to see interesting kind of what we can do there. But you always want a home tie, don't you? Ideally, but it's not too far. Could have been a lot worse, kind of travel wise, couldn't it? You can get there back in a day, so it's not. It's not too bad, I don't think that.
I do agree. It's
FA Trophy. Are we getting excited about it? Is that right?
I don't think you get excited until you're in the last 16 quarter final. Really, do you?
I get excited winning games of football. I'm not really interested in what the competition is to a certain degree. If you're winning, it's good.
That was it on Saturday. We just take it. It was a win. They might have had a weakened team, but we had a few players off as well.
It's still a good win. Win's a win.
They had a weakened team, and I said to my dad, you think that, but it was still a lot stronger than an awful lot of.
It's still the best team in the league.
Big team.
It was a completely different back four for them, so that's making a difference.
Yeah,
and I think because last Tuesday their back four just pushed up right on us. We couldn't get out of our half a lot of time. We had a lot more space to play with. on Saturday, but we made the best of it. So
yeah, that's the difference.
Good.
Yeah, fantastic. I think. But yeah, thank you for joining us this week, as ever.
What's your predictions for Saturday then?
2-1 Torquay. I'm going for. First one we're going for a win, and well, actually.
Yeah.
I hope win because I'm going. So I hope. Yeah, it's those sorts of games are difficult, aren't they? But yeah, I think it's a sort of game we got to go and then win. Yeah, I'd say 2-0 Torquay. Okay, so I'll go for.
I agree with Sam 2-1. Yeah, you're getting a bit of stick on Twitter, aren't you, for your positive?
Well, quite. Yeah. Well, although ironically, I predicted us to lose at the weekend and we won. So maybe that's the way. Maybe that's the way forward. I don't know.
For our listeners, somebody keeps on asking if Chris is on drugs every time.
No, absolutely not. Just only high on life. So maybe that's that's something you can be. So yeah, no. I'm not going to predict us to lose if I'm going to travel that way and go to the game. I might say
it's like going to a job interview and thinking you're not going to get a job. You know, you can't just say I'm not going to get a job. What's the point going if you're not going to back yourself?
No. And many are talking away trips been a cracking day out ruined by 3 till 5, but you don't go to see him lose here. Yeah, fingers crossed we'll get a good result.
Yes.
So yes, thank you for joining us, everyone, and we'll see you then.
Here's Hargreaves, chance for Torquay. Chris Hargreaves, the captain. If he stays onside, Carlisle checks instead. He's looking for Benyon. Sells.